Is on golf and improving your golf game with better training in the gym, that is. So I'm using one of my golfers to showcase the results that we're getting, and what we're looking at right here is the test summary from the Proteus Motion. So what we do is we have a golf assessment on the Proteus we use once a month, and we use that to dictate what type of training we need to do. And what I want to do first is just show the results that we've gotten with this. And during the training, though, we continue to use the Proteus as a tool. We also use a whole bunch of other equipment on the gym floor as well for tools. And then every month we retest, we see what kind of results we're getting, and we make adjustments based off what the assessment in the test summary shows us. So if you see here, this was the first one that we did on October 30th, and here's the test results. So overall power, 52nd percentile, overall acceleration, 46th percentile, and overall Proteus score, 56th percentile. And what the Proteus score is, it's a coefficient. Basically, how strong are you based off how much you weigh. And we're getting these numbers from the cohort here, male, 25 to 45 years old, 145 to 205 pounds, and anywhere from 5'6" to 600 or to 6'2", and it's given us a sample size of anywhere from 172 to 751 records of other people that fit that cohort that have done this test as a comparison. So this guy, his name is Joe, can see where he ranks based off his cohorts among all those people. So that was the first test, 52nd percentile, 46th, 56, okay? And now I'm going to come back to this, but let me go to the second test just for the test results so you can see the differences. So now he's at 63rd percentile, 50th, and 71st. And you can see now he has a graph because we have a point of reference, that being the first test, to show whether or not he's improved, he's declined, or if he's basically stayed the same. And so he's went up in everything. So that's fantastic, obviously. That's what we want, and that's pretty significant. That's quite a difference. And now if we go to the latest test that we did, now we're on 1227. And again, he improved, 68th percentile, 63rd percentile, 77th percentile. And here's those graphs again, showcasing what those look like. And basically, these are the tests for the golf assessment that are being measured. Horizontal row, one hand; chest press, one hand; PNF D1 extension; straight arm trunk rotation; straight arm trunk rotation plyo; shot put counter movement; lateral lunge up; lateral lunge down. And then you get all these percentiles based off of power and velocity that you can look at per each exercise. And if we wanted to actually go in and look at all these too, we can click on them and we can look at the 3D, we can look at movement analysis. So if I went into movement analysis, now we can look at this specific movement, where his power is, where his acceleration is, deceleration, consistency, velocity, range of motion. So we can do all that with each exercise. But what we use to dictate the training is the insight. So let me go back to his first test to show you his first insight. So this is basically a force velocity profile. So out of those 6 movements, we have where he falls on this force velocity profile. So he had 3 where he had low foundational strength, okay? It says low power here, low foundational strength. We had 2 where he was power dominant, and we had 1 where he was very balanced between power and speed. This is exactly what we want. Ideally, we want all of these to shift over to the green here to be very balanced. We want you strong enough, but we also want you to be able to express your strength fast enough to where you have high speed and high power. And so that's where he was. He had 3 exercises of low foundational strength. Now if we go back over to the second one and we look at insights, now again this is on his second test, November 20th. Now we only have 2 exercises in low foundational strength, 3 over here in power dominant, and 1 over here where it's exactly supposed to be, where he's balanced between power and speed. And now if we go back to the latest one, 1227, and we go to his insights, now he's not, no exercise is low foundational strength. He has 0 in low power. He has 1 that's in speed dominant. He has 4 that are in power dominant, and he has that 1 that's perfect over here. So now you go down and you look at these, and you can look at the differences for power and for speed. So for instance, this one, the upper body horizontal pull, he has an 86 in power and 63 in speed. So that's quite a discrepancy. Speed's really lagging behind, and that's why he's power dominant. So when you go down and you look at these different exercises, and what it's going to do is, depending on where you need to work, it's going to give you a suggested velocity profile to train within to improve upon what you need to work on. So for power, it's 0.75 to 1.25 meters per second, and that is for this core rotational exercise. And then it's giving you some recommended exercises, and we use these. It's not the only thing we use. We also, have other exercises that we've learned throughout, years of training people, and different resources that we like. But these are really good recommended exercises, and it does this for basically all those movements. For this golf assessment, it'll tell you, okay, where you're at on the force velocity profile and what you need to do to improve it, and what velocity range and recommended exercises. And this is exactly what we do, and we've seen tremendous progress. That's one of the biggest differences that we have going for us here at Ascend Perform, the fact that we have this Proteus Motion device that can really tell us what we need to work on and really focus on that, as opposed to just making stuff up along as we go and with no rhyme or reason, and not having a really good strategy or a really good foundation to work off of. So this is the best thing I've ever got in the gym is the Proteus Motion. I can't say enough about it. And then what I'm going to do here, though, I'm going to stop this, but then I'm going to make another video where we'll go over some of the exercises that we've done. Now, I don't have every single exercise that Joe's ever done. I don't like to film everybody, every single thing that they do in here. I want people to be focused on what they're doing, so we're not going to shove a camera in their face every exercise, but we do have some, and so I will show you what that looks like as well. All right, here's some of those exercises that I mentioned. So here's external rotation for the hips. We have probably 3 or 4 different exercises we do for external rotation. Here's one with the cable, but we also use bands as well. I learned about this exercise from Brett Contreras. I find this really helpful for a lot of athletes, not just golf, but it's served us well with golf as well. Here's the same exercise, but just from the other side, so you can get maybe a little bit of a better view on how you're doing this. It's the leg he's standing on, actually, that he's rotating a ton through, that left leg, even though he's getting rotation on the right as well, but there's a lot of rotation coming through that pivot leg, that left leg. Here's a one-arm standing cable row, but we're doing this for power because that's what our Proteus assessment told us he needed to work on for pulse, and we have a band on there for accommodating resistance, or some people call it variable resistance, so he can pull harder and really produce a lot of power. Here we have a chest press exercise with the med ball, or chest pass exercise with the med ball, so he can be explosive. Again, based off of the Proteus assessment and what he needs to do for horizontal pushes. I think TPI also highly recommends this exercise as a testing exercise, but you can also use this as a training exercise if they need to develop more power. Med balls are a great thing to use if you want to train power, since you can throw them. And then here's another horizontal pull exercise that we're doing for power. So we have a band in there so he can accelerate longer. Doesn't have to worry about decelerating in the shortened position and hitting himself with that kettlebell, because the band helps with that. Here's a rotational exercise. We do a lot of different rotational exercises if you're in a rotational sport like golf or tennis or baseball, with all different types of apparatus. So this is just one of many. We probably have at least 12 different rotational exercises that we use. And here he is on the Proteus using it as a training device, not as a testing tool. So I think this is our PNF D1. And we still train on this a lot. We don't just use this as an assessment. We use this with a lot of our training throughout the week, amongst other things I'm grateful for. And here's kind of like the opposite motion. This is I believe this is a PNF D2, or this might be the D1. I get those two confused a little bit. Actually, this actually might be the D1. But again, this is a exercise that is recommended for golf in the Proteus assessment for golf, and so we use it a lot, and we look at what's going on.